Hi there guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Bryndis and in today's video I am doing the time and place tag. This tag was created by Carl at Please Read Your Books and I was tagged by Ellen at Ellen Made Book Club. Thank you so much for tagging me and let's get into the tag. The first question is a book that reminds you of your past. So I decided to actually put in two books there because when I think about my childhood, I think about Lína Langsokkur or Pippi Longstockings, Pippi Langstrumpe. Yeah. In Icelandic, it's Lína Langsokkur. She was such an icon in my childhood. Like everybody, all the girls wanted to be like Pippi. She was just the ultimate feminist. She did everything she was not supposed to be. She was very naughty and, a very badly behaved little girl. And she was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And I love the fact that she is still like, I don't know how old Pippi is, 60, 70, 80 years old. Astrid Lindgren was a Swedish children's book author, iconic one, and Pippi Langström is just one of several of characters that she created that I also read, but Pippi was definitely my favorite, and I loved the fact that when I worked in a preschool as an early childhood teacher, I was reading this book to children, the same books that I used to read as a child, and for the most part they've aged quite well. But oh my god, I used to love Pippi Longstockings. But other books that when I think about my past and what I used to read, so early childhood it would have been Pippi Longstockings. And then in my kind of middle childhood, there would have been the Fabulous Five, or the Famous Five, Enid Blyton's books. I loved those books. Both there was the five, and especially loved, I think it was the five that had George, right? Georgina, who didn't want to be called Georgina because she was a tomboy. And so those were the type of characters that I really identified with as a child, because I myself was definitely not a girly girl. And so Pippi Longstockings was this kind of girl who kind of went against how girls were supposed to behave. And George in the Famous Five definitely did that as well. So those were characters that I really loved and really kind of identified with. But then when I went into my teens, I don't think that we really had a lot of like young adult books when I was growing up in the 80s, 90s. Oh, I'm sure we did. But I didn't read those. I read The Ice People, the saga of the Ice People. Ísfolket in Norwegian, Ísfolkið in Icelandic. This is a series, I think there are 32 or 36 books, and it is a fantasy series. It starts, the first book, like a family saga. So the first book starts in 1580 something, 1590 something, in Trondheim in Oslo, in Norway. And then it follows this story that this family is a family that is cursed. So there are witches and warlocks and all sorts of things, supernatural things going on with this family. And I think the last book takes place in the 1950s or something like that. So it's like a long story that takes place. Like every generation has a cursed individual who has supernatural powers, and it's very steamy and explicit in regards to sex. There is violence, there is romance, there is drama, there is love, there is death, everything happens in this series. And I read the entire series probably 10 times over. First in Icelandic, my older siblings owned all the books, and then when I lived in Norway, the first time I lived in Norway when I was in my early 20s, I bought the entire collection in Norwegian, and I read them several times. I've listened to them, or I tried to listen to them recently as audiobooks, and I realized that no, they don't age well for me. These are nostalgic reads that I don't need to read again, basically. But oh my God, I used to love these books. They were just, so good. The second question is a book that is set in a place you want to visit but have not. There are so many places I want to visit. If I could jump on a plane tomorrow and visit a place, it would be Rome in Italy. I have been to Italy, but like northern parts, so I've never been to Rome. And as a lover of history, I think Rome is just, you have to go there. Like with all the history that is there, and like the architecture and just, So I definitely want to go to Rome. And this is a book that takes place in Rome. This is the only book that I could find that I have read, that I own, that takes place in Rome. Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. It's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. I've seen the movie as well, which is okay as well, for sure. I think the book is better. But Rome. Oh, I would love to go to Rome. Question 3 is a book that is set in a foreign country that you admire. Now, I've heard other people say this, and I would say that the word admire is a very strong word for another country there are definitely, I don't think there is any country anywhere that I admire, not even Iceland. But there are countries definitely that I like and that I think are nice places, and I would definitely want to live there. And I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna say two places, because I couldn't choose between them. So one of the places that I love the most on this entire planet is Oslo in Norway. I used to live there. I loved living there, and if things hadn't turned out the way they turned out, I would still be living there, basically. It's a fantastic city to live in, and I just loved it. And I don't have any book that I could find that takes place in Oslo, but I have read this book. And I think most of the books by Harry Hole, I don't know how you say, I think is that how you say it in English? Harry Hole? That's very weird. But anyway, he's a detective in the Norwegian police in Oslo. And several of his books at least take place in Oslo. And I love it. I love reading books that take place in Oslo because I love it so much. And would love to be there right now, actually. Another place that I really love, and I could see myself living there for sure. I visited it in 2018, and that is Amsterdam. And this book takes place in Amsterdam, The Miniaturist, and it's an excellent book. One of my top books that I read last year. It's a historical fiction. It takes place in 1686 in Amsterdam, and it is just really, really good. And Amsterdam, oh my God, Amsterdam is just such a... I was there for a few days and oh my God, it is gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I just find that the Dutch way of life feels very relaxed and definitely feel like it's a place, I wouldn't mind visiting or even living there. Question 4. A book that is set in the city, province or district that you live in. So I'm gonna cheat. I have 2 books because I live in Reykjavik in Iceland, but I am recently moved here. So my heart still belongs to my hometown. I lived in like 6 countries and 3 countries. I've done the traveling thing quite a lot. I love it, but I have a feeling that I might be in Reykjavik now for the duration of my life, to be honest. But I'm also from a small town in the northwest of Iceland that has that like 98% of my heart belongs to. So I'm gonna cheat. So the book, like I have so many books that take place in Reykjavik. I love like crime thrillers, mysteries, suspense books, and I have so many of them, and the majority of them take place in Reykjavik. But I think that my all-time favorite book, I don't actually have a copy of it, which is like shocking to me. I don't know why, but it is this one, Mýrin by Arnaldur Indriðason, and it has been translated into English called Jar City. I have no idea why. Horrible name, and there actually has also been made a movie which may be available in whatever country you live in. It's a very good movie, and it's actually a very interesting book. It's about this detective Erlendur, who is kind of this very Nordic noir, flawed detective he's divorced, and he has a very fraught relationship with his grown children, or his children who are in their early 20s, and then there's murders and things happening. It's a very good book. I definitely recommend it. But the other book that I want to talk about takes partly place in my hometown. It is called Ég man þig. I will put the English title there. I can't remember but it has definitely been translated. And this is Yrsa Sigurðardóttir. She is also, she's one of my favorite, also suspense, thriller, crime writers. This one is a little bit supernatural. It is super spooky. Definitely spooky for a scaredy cat like myself. I got it for Christmas many years ago and I couldn't read it. I ended up reading it in June, in the 24-hour daylight period here in Iceland, because I could not read it during the dark months. It was just no way. But it's a really good book. So part of it takes place in my hometown, and part of it takes place in this, like a village that has, nobody lives there anymore. I don't remember the English word for it, but so they're staying there. People have houses there that they go and spend summers there. So but nobody lives there year round, and it's very close to where my grandmother was born. So it's a place I know. I don't think I've actually been there, but it's close to where I've been for sure. And that part of Iceland where nobody lives anymore. It's too isolated and too horrible to live there. But this is a very good book, and I definitely recommend that as well if you're looking for a lovely Icelandic, very suspenseful, thrilling, little bit supernatural story with a lot of character and plot. The last question is a book that is set in the future that you think is or will be realistic. I had a huge problem finding this book. I think in general, I don't read books set in the future unless they are like fantasies. I don't think I really enjoy reading dystopian books. Maybe because I find them too realistic. So I really don't want to know if this might actually happen. And I had also a problem, I had a lot of trouble thinking what is a book that I've read and what is TV or movies that I've seen. And I couldn't, there is nothing that I've read that I can put as an answer here, because I don't like to read this type of dystopian that is too realistic. I tried to watch The Handmaid's Tale, the TV series, and I couldn't, because I found it to be too realistic with everything that is happening in regards to the infringement of women's rights, for example, in the US. I find it horrifying, and I find that the events of The Handmaid's Tale, even though they are a little bit extreme, I find that they could very well happen. At least the part where women have absolutely no right at all. And that's horrifying to me. Absolutely horrifying. So I don't really want to read books like that. I like to pretend that things are okay. Right? I think that's what I do, basically. So here we have it. I was really thinking about who I could tag in this video, and I think I'm gonna take the easy way out and just say, if you watched this video and you want to do it, then consider yourself tagged. And let me know, please, that if you did it, so that I can watch your video as well. It was so much fun thinking about these answers of these books, and so thank you so much again, Ellen, for tagging me. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.